I'm here at 98 Jetta with a 1.9 liter TDI in it. Customer's complaint is that it won't start. It kind of had a long story starting out, but the gist of it is it won't start. We had to push it in this morning, and let me show you what it's doing.
You might need to put the boost box on it.
As you can see, it kind of tries to start, kind of sounds like it wants to start. I'm going to put a boost box on it, as Cortland said, and see if it does any better. As we try and start this, a ton of smoke's coming out of that. I don't know if you can see that all on camera. Cortland, can you try and start this for me? Looks like the customer changed the fuel filter already. Whenever we have a diesel that won't start, the first thing we do is try and prime the injection pump, bleed the injectors, and see if it starts that way. Sometimes the fuel restriction may make a lot of smoke, but don't know why that is. But we'll try priming the fuel system and bleeding the injectors first, and go from there. Well, we've tried priming the injection pump and bleeding the injectors, and it helped nothing at all. When we bleed the injectors, we're getting a steady squirt of fuel up nice and high. That usually means it's getting plenty enough fuel to start. We'll move on to scanning for trouble codes. Engine. And fault codes. See here we have 00550 start of injection regulation control difference, and 00522 engine coolant temperature sensor open or short. Now I think this thing would definitely start better if it knew the engine temperature, if in the off chance the engine temperature isn't working at all. But from experience, injection timing on that first code is a big player on how a diesel starts. And I also think that injection timing being way off can cause the car to smoke also. So let's take a quick look at the engine temperature sensor reading on the measuring blocks. And it shows 7.2 degrees Celsius. I'll have to convert that to Fahrenheit to see if that's anywhere inside our realm of what's normal. Okay, so I did some conversion, and 8.1 degrees Celsius is about 46 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's very cold outside. I don't know the temperature outside, but inside it's about 70 degrees in here right now. and we pushed the car in a few minutes ago, so that might be accurate. I would guess that outside is colder than 46, but it's been sitting inside for 10 minutes or so, maybe 20, and so maybe 8.1 is accurate. So at this point we don't know about that. If I could get this car to start, I would check the graph, but I think we have to assume our injection timing is off based on the trouble code, and we'll adjust the injection pump and see if that'll make it start. Okay, in order to adjust injection timing on a early TDI, that means like a 1Z and a 97, 98, and early 99, you have to loosen this bolt, and there's 2 bolts here and 1 bolt on the bracket back there. That bolt's a little hard to get to, but I've already loosened that one, and I'm going to loosen these 2 right here. These 2, you have to go through the holes in the front of the injection pump pulley. This pulley has to be in the correct orientation in order to reach those bolts. So I will probably have Cortland bump the motor over till it's in orientation, and then we will loosen up those bolts. Okay, bump it. And there you can see one of the bolts, but it's mostly obstructed. I think that's probably close enough, and that one you can see almost entirely. I'll turn the rest of it manually. Okay, in order to video this, I'm going to have Cortland turn the cam pulley with our cam holding tool and come towards me. And that's probably all it needs. Okay, and to move the injection pump, I usually just find a place I can pry safely, and then there it went. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it definitely moved. So we'll tighten it up there and see if it'll start there. And it'll be okay to leave the back one loose for now. I do have to say, on this type of injection pump, anytime you loosen or move the, anytime you move the injection pump, that puts these lines cocked and in a bind, and they will crack later from the normal vibration of the engine if you leave them that way. So you need to loosen all 4 of them here and all 4 of them there, reseat them, get them to sit in a natural position, and tighten them back up. But for now, we're just going to see if this thing will start.
Okay.
We have still having trouble getting it to start. Off camera, we've tried advancing it and retarding the injection pump. It seems like it wants to start better in the advanced position. We've moved it all the way to the advanced position, and it still don't really want to run it reliably. I was hoping once it warmed up, it might do a little bit better now that it's in the shop. I want to point out that a car can run like this when it's, I want to point out that a diesel can run like this when it's got gasoline in it, and it can also trigger injection timing codes. Never seen it personally, I just read it somewhere, but when we did smell the gas tank, and the customer changed the fuel filter, and when we primed it and bled the injectors, we didn't smell any traces of gasoline, so we're kind of ruling that out. But I want to mention that in case you have this problem. We're going to keep trying to start it for a little while, and then we'll go from there. Pause. Okay, we have got it to run, so we're trying to pull up the timing graph as quick as possible here. Okay, and it's too far off the graph, but we have this adjusted all the way, so 255, and that means it's probably jumped a tooth on the timing. I can't imagine how it would end up in this scenario unless that's the case. We played with the timing both ways, and this is the only position where it'll run in, which is turned all the way. So I think we're going to need to change the timing belt one tooth and see if that fixes our problem. If you can't see inside here, it's smoking us out really bad.
You can't barely see the computer.
But we're going to shut the car off so we don't die of exhaust fumes, and get the fan running, and then we'll change the timing belt and change the cam pulley one tooth. Fan running. Okay, we have set this in time. It did look like it was fairly off based on the checks we made. As you can see here, there's some paint marks on the pulley and paint marks right there, so somebody's done a mark and pray timing job on it before. We are simply going to set the valve cover on. We've tensioned our belt, we've torqued our stuff. We've took out our lock tools, we've done our 2 revolutions of the engine, and now we're just going to simply sit the valve cover on there, not put it on there permanently, and see how it starts and runs, and see if our problem is fixed. Obviously we're thinking this thing jumped time on one tooth or something like that, and I think if this fixes it, we're definitely going to recommend a timing belt job. And I don't know, belt doesn't really look that bad, and I did ask the customer about the timing belt history, and he did say it had been replaced at some point. He didn't know the exact mileage, but we'll get back with you once it starts. All right, go ahead and start it. Well, hopefully it'll fire right up. Obviously that's a fix. I want to show no smoke. Well, there's a little bit of smoke, but not a major fog in the universe like it was before, or fog in the neighborhood. And we had this valve cover loose and it's leaking oil out of it. We'll need to set injection timing with the VADCOM, make sure it's on the graph, so go ahead and set it off. Okay, I got Cortland pulling up the timing graph. And we're still off the charts, but maybe we can adjust it into spec. I guess I'm going to end this video here. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Post any questions down below in the comments. And if you want to financially donate to the continued production of these videos, visit my website right here at www.kansascitytdi.com. Okay, interesting side note. On these type of engines, the AHU and 1Z engines, this stud goes right here, and all three of them, the stud goes right here, and there should be one there and one there, and these things belong in there with a seal sitting on top of them, and then on top of that sits the valve cover. Now you can see some massive wear right here. This had no seal on it at all, and so somebody tightened it down enough to where it was rubbing the shoulder of this cam cap on all three locations. And so the way this works is that goes there, then a seal goes on top of it, and then on top there is is this type of seal on top of the valve cover, and then this metal shield, and then a nut, and then a cosmetic cap. Okay, if you don't put the thing right under here, you end up with damage like this. I don't know that this valve cover will ever seal again. I'm not sure how bad it was leaking or not, but understand that this sets the height of the compression of the gasket on the outside edge. Okay, so if this height is incorrect, how can this be right? So if you don't know what you're doing, don't work on the car. How about that? I just want to point out that this is what these are supposed to look like. The posts are put in place, and then the seals, which look like this, are put on top of it with the tapered end up. And that's what they're supposed to look like. If you remove the valve cover and you lose those things, then your valve cover ends up looking like this one, all destroyed.